Hi, Jim here. Uh, so I'm giving another update on this is the next day of the swarming activity. Well, second day, I'm not really sure. Third day, so just to kind of put it in perspective, okay, yeah, I'm coming through, girls. There's so many of you. Oh my gosh. I say, so I got rid of a girl that was pestering the heck out of me. Oh my gosh. She was like 12 minutes went by. I'm going, oh, I gave you so much time. Right? I gave you so much time. And so I caught her and put her in a jar, and there she stays. It only lasts about 20 minutes in that jar, right? Stress, I don't know. So what I do is you can investigate that? I'll take that, I'll take that bee that's being really aggressive. I don't even remember ever having a girl buzz me for, geez, more than 10 minutes. Never. I would do my hand thing, I didn't have anything on, and not this. This is just for sunshade, so I don't get all that brown spots. Reduce it anyway, right? And this also keeps, because I got so many girls now around here, it keeps them from going right to my ears. That's right. You're gonna have to confront me right here. And so, and I can also pull it, either way. Get out of here, right? It's like I don't have to use suntan lotion either. Yeah, it's pretty neat. I like it. Don't get that burn on the back of my neck being out there all day in the sun, working on the garden, etc. And so, outside projects. And so I'm gonna call this. Gosh, I don't know what to call this. I'm gonna go with day two, because of swarming activity. Because the first time I noticed the bees going into swarm mode, um, was and in their groupings was um, about 4 o'clock, because I was just out about 3:30 doing something around here, and there was nothing. No bees going in any of my beta nukes all day. And so around 4 o'clock, came to sit back. I just came to sit down and take a break, and I started noticing building up in there. So, and that was late. So I'm gonna call this day two of swarming, because typically what I've noticed, there's a pattern from the day that they start swarming, doing that pre-swarming activity, where they're clustering in my beta nukes. It's generally 3 days, 3 full days before they swarm out. It's a pattern, and so it was the next day that it's raining. Okay, and so it was the next day that I noticed them in more beta nukes. The next day they were filling one in the cherry tree, and the next day there was more in this one here. So yeah, they decided late that one day, a few days ago, let's go check something out. They started filling this one first, and nothing else. The one of the cherry trees stayed dry all that day. When I noticed this, I went and checked the other one, and I did that periodically until dark, and nothing ever went into that one in the cherry tree that day. But they were packed heavy in that one. So, and then the next day they were packed in both the cherry tree and this one. And so I'm calling this day three. I mean two, like a full day. So this is another full day of them engaging in pre-swarming activity. And I came out this morning. I have a lot of things I do in the morning, lots of routines, exercise, and putting all my dishes away, and doing lots of things that are routine for me in the morning, before I go outside and mess with my bees. So I came out around 9 o'clock this morning, and they were heavy in the cherry tree, and they were heavy in this one. 9 o'clock in the morning, I didn't expect that. Because it was cold last night and it was cold this morning, and all these bees were out like it was a nice hot summer day. Right? Now it's raining. Yeah. Bees actually know They have a sixth sense about this. They know an hour ahead of time when a heavy rain is coming. They know if it's going to be heavy, and they know if it's going to be little. It's going to be light enough where I'm just going to keep busy. I don't mind singing and dancing and flying in the rain, you know. And they'll just go about their business like they are now. They can tell if it's going to be a sprinkle or a hailstorm. And they won't go out on that unless they're desperate for the food. I've seen them go out in those hailstorms. Raining so hard, and my poor girls were out there in it. They were desperate for food, for pollen. When I bought one of those bee packages, and it was just raining so hard, I'd go out and pick up thousands of them off my driveway, because I had my first hive in that driveway, and I'd go out there and just pick up thousands of them like that. Try them out, put them in front of the hive, they crawl right in. Yeah. I never got stung doing that. Should have. That was a dumb thing to do. But I did thousands like that. Bring them back to life because they look dead. I'd get about a dozen in my hand, you know, pick them up, warm them back up. It was like early spring, you know. Put them in the hive. Never got stung. Well, I did one time. It was when it was warm. The weather was really warm already, and we had a heavy rain, and I was picking them up from the dirt, and I picked up one, and I did that. She got me on the lip, a little below. That was the last time I did that. I did so many thousands, you know, it was no problem. But out of those thousands, I got nabbed, like by one. I knew it was risky. Anyway, but I saved probably, oh man, by doing that, when I first got my first beehive, by doing that, I probably saved 3,000 bees. That was a lot. Yeah, my hive would have been a lot smaller. So, yeah, I don't do that no more. Live and learn, but it wasn't really living and learning. I knew the risk. You know what I mean? We take risks. We jump off a cliff, you know, and are you on me? You sure are, you little turd. You're just kind of sitting there investigating me? Are you in or out? Oh, you're out. Okay. She's just taking a break. Oh, now she's cleaning herself right there. I'm just cleaning myself. She looks totally relaxed, calm. Hey there, girl. Yeah, I'm just cleaning myself, you know. I'm good. Yeah, we don't want... It's not a good idea to have them crawl around your face. Even with the mesh on. You know, they crawl around, they're exploring, and you get distracted and they work their way underneath, and you squeeze them a little bit, and boom, you get stung that quick. Why don't you go away? Me and you don't like you, and I don't like you in that position. Why don't you go somewhere else? Here, come here. There you go. Yeah, get rid of that girl. It's like, because they're so curious. They're such curious creatures that, yeah, she could have just been walking around. I would lose track of her, you know, and she's just exploring. She's not in any kind of threatening mood or mode or stinging or nothing, you know. And then I pinch her somehow, and boom, that's happened lots of times. What were you doing underneath that piece of stick? I pinched him a little bit, you know. Yeah, that sting. One time one was drowning. I just reached in my hand to pull it out. She stung me while she was still in the water. Last time I saved a bee like that. From now on, I just when I see a girl drowning in the water, what I do now is I'll just grab a local stick, put it right in the water. They climb right up. They feel that gripping, you know, and they just... Oh, you want one a little longer. Yeah, they can climb up pretty quick. Yeah, get a longer stick. So I get these bees that they'll go underneath my feeders, the wooden strips, and try to get that little bit of sugar syrup underneath. And if I don't notice them
way underneath. I put that in there, and the next day I'll find them like floating. Yeah, they were so desperate to get just that little bit of sugar that was underneath those wooden strips. They burrow themselves underneath. Right? They literally they must have to lift that up a little bit to get underneath there because I designed those so they fit flush. But what happens when I fill them up, they kind of get a little moisture, they get a sugar underneath of them that kind of keeps them up a little bit. So these bees are able to just squeeze themselves underneath there to get those pockets of sugar syrup. And then when I go to fill it, they can't get out in time or something, and they drown. Yeah, I usually find a couple every day. Yeah, and sometimes they just get themselves wedged underneath there. They just keep feeding, and then they go to back out, and they can't. The sugar and everything kind of dries around them while they're just focused on feeding, and then they go to come out, and they're stuck, and then they die there. And so yeah, that's okay. She lays 3,000 up to 3,000 a day. One now and then, oh well. Yeah, 10 days, 30,000, possibly. Up to. Depends upon the mood of the queen. Some queens are like Catholics. Just got to keep pumping them out. I know because my mom was a Catholic. And she pumped 11. Well, she pumped 13 out. Yeah, 13. 10 of us survived the whole process, right? 13 didn't survive when they came out of the womb. That's why there was like a 2.5 year break here between some of us, because she miscarried. Yeah, or didn't survive birth. Yeah, Catholics. Yeah, let's just overpopulate the planet. It's just we'll just walk around like this. Well, theoretically we can take over the undersea, so we can live underwater, right? Be like living it'd be safer than living on the moon or the Mars, right? You got to wear a sealed suit on the moon or the Mars, or in open space. So, if you need medical treatment, you ain't got far to go. You're on Mars. You need medical treatment. They don't have what's needed isn't there. Probably ain't gonna make the trip back. 2 years later. So, yeah, we can always occupy the seas underwater or on the surface. Build structures, floating cities. Yeah, there's room. Make something out of those Sahara deserts. Science is moving and technology is moving so fast. If the average person knew where AI was right now, they'd actually be excited. They'd be excited knowing where it's going and where it's already at, right? It really hasn't hit most people because it hasn't affected them directly in their immediate life, right? So until it starts affecting their life in a positive way on a regular basis, most of the average person don't care. Out of sight, out of mind. But AI is here to stay. AI is nothing more than the accumulation of human knowledge. If we're afraid of ourselves, be afraid of AI. If you don't like yourself, you're afraid of yourself, whatever, fear AI, right? If you're afraid of your neighbors or you're afraid of other people, fear AI. I don't fear humans. What I fear is I don't have any fears. What I have a little difficulty, I guess one could say, a mental struggle a little bit, is the justification that humans still have for engaging in evil behavior, right? Yeah, justification for evilness. Someday that'll be gone. But, we're still, culturally, humans are still evolving to become more and more civilized. a truly civilized society, a truly civilized species. Right? Empathy for life, all life, and starting with ourselves. And so, yeah, it's happening. It's just, you know, trees don't grow from here all the way overnight, right? It takes time. Time is on our side. Yes, it is. So, um, what I'm doing is I'm sitting here, waiting for these bees to swarm in. So at 9 o'clock, I noticed there was a lot of activity, and it's 12:30. So, and this is the first week of June 2026. And so, um, yeah, around this time last year, same thing happened. I caught a swarm in mid-May, so that would have been last year. And I seen the same activity this time of June. Lots of activity. Had like 11 nukes out or something, and they all had their own groups, individual. They're all packed with bees. And all of a sudden, day 3 or 4, nothing. Didn't catch it. Something happened. Damn. And so, and that could happen now. Um, Even though they're all excited, they're jumping on each other, patting each other's backs up there. Here, I'll show you. They're all excited up there, right? All happy to have a place to swarm out to. Yeah, there's a lot. Sometimes there's a lot more than that in there. Yeah, they're getting all excited and happy and bouncing off each other's bodies and hugging each other and play scuffling. Yeah, they're all happy. They found a box to take mommy to. And so whoever goes back and does the best cha-cha dance as a group. So they do it as a group, and they'll take turns. And whoever has the best group dance, most aggressive, most fancy, who has the best 2-2-1, right? That's where they're going to swarm to. And so this morning I put 5 frames in the cherry tree because I noticed at 9 o'clock that was also packed with bees. So I took it down. Bees were flying out of the box and flying in it. While I was putting frames in it, there was bees flying in it. More bees were actually flying in it than out of it. That's how aggressive they are wanting to secure a new home. And they don't want to get trapped out in the rain or the weather or without a home when they swarm out. Because once they're ready to go, they just go. And if all of a sudden where they were going to go is no longer available, they'll go to a tree or something, or a driveway, or, you know, in your kitchen. They don't care. They'll just go wherever the leader takes them. And yeah, there's a leader ball. So there's a ball of leader bees, kind of like that, and it's a ball. It's a circle, like a planet, like planet Earth, and that's the leader ball. And all the other bees, and there's another ball, and then there's a big ball, and the leader ball will take them wherever, right? And the other ones just follow because many of those are nursing bees. They've never been out of the hive. They don't know where they're going. They're following the leader, right? They're following the foraging bees that became realtors and went and found a home. And yeah, including the drones. The drones follow too. I thought that was so strange. I caught this swarm, and I seen all these drones going in too. There was drones that were in that ball. How do they select you? It's the raffle tickets. Oh, here's the number. It's okay. Oh, I got that number. I guess I'm going. Including the drones, and they all came into my box. I was watching them. I didn't know that. I thought drones would stay there. Yeah. So Yeah, I'm still not sure if they're swarming out, if they're going to be swarming out of this original swarm I caught in May or April. I caught that one in mid-April. Um, yeah, I'm thinking they might be coming out of there. Not sure. Oh no, I'm hoping to be here. I ain't got all day to see. I got things to do. Go pick some more cherries and stuff. I got to go pick a bunch of raspberries. They're starting to fall on the ground because haven't got to them in time. Yeah, strawberries, snow peas, sweet peas, or sugar snaps. Yeah, it's just that time of year, you know, if you're a gardener, all that stuff's coming on. That's my dinner. Go out there and forage. Literally, I go out many days when certain things are ripe. It's dinner time, it's after 5 o'clock. Go out, pick raspberries, blueberries, strawberries. I just, you know, some snow peas, some snap peas, and cucumber, or just whatever is ripe. And I just keep foraging until I go, I guess I'm done here. And then I'm done eating for that day and that evening. Now, many times I'll have like a cup of nuts, mixed nuts, walnuts, hazelnuts, like a wide variety of different kinds of nuts, almonds and peanuts, stuff like that, and to get that protein. And yeah, when I have those foraging days, I usually top that off with some protein, some nuts, and sometimes even some legumes. And on occasion, I'll eat meat, turkey or chicken, or some like on rare occasions, I'll have some red hamburger just to kind of get that there, you know, just make sure I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to make sure I hit all the bases, you know. Now and then I'll have some seafood stuff, you know, or something. Yeah, just kind of mix it up. Get that wide. Oh, she was loaded with food. She went in that one. Just wide variety of different kinds of vitamins, minerals, enzymes, proteins. Yeah, mix it up, baby. And so this peach tree is doing a pretty good job shedding all those peaches off on its own. I was thinking I have to get up there and pluck all those thin all those things out. But it's doing it on its own. Pretty cool, right? Smart tree, right? It went to peach school, and they're all over, and it's doing it on its own. It knows that, it senses that it has overbearing. It has overbeared itself, and it's not able to get that much nutrients into those little branches, into all those big clusters of peaches, so it's selecting the peaches and thinning itself out. Well, I like that. So I don't have to do it. I might have to thin out a few spots, or maybe a gust of wind comes by and it'll knock some of it off too. Yeah, I guess I'll just let the peach tree do it. Let nature take its course, kind of like my bees, right? They divide themselves and make themselves another hive. And so, yeah, I'm hoping to get this swarm on video. It's such a cool thing to witness. Oh my gosh. I was mesmerized by witnessing that part of nature. I've seen many videos where swarms are flying around or doing stuff like that, but I've never seen one with full intent, where they were going to go and stay, right? The body language is just different than I've ever seen on YouTube or anything else. I've seen hundreds, and people dealing with swarms, and coming across swarms. I have never seen one going in a Frosty the Snowman formation, coming from that one location from a good distance, and just coming in, you know, like a 747, and then right, you know, and those bees filled this cove, including right where I'm sitting. Yeah, I got up. Right? Yeah, I just yeah. A couple seconds later, this whole cove was full of bees. Yeah, I didn't stay long. In fact, the second I noticed, I went. Now they probably would have just landed on me and not stung me, but you know, if I was done something, touched one, done something, yeah, instinct would have been, their instinct is to sting me. And I'm still seeing drones coming out of my original hive and the split that I made 1st of April. And they've both made orientation flights. So the only way that can happen is if you got a queen. So I wasn't sure for, I forgot how many weeks or month or 2 months almost. I wasn't sure, right? So one of these hives made a emergency queen cell. That queen flew out, got mated, came back, and started a family. Right? Without the husband. No husbands allowed. They don't follow them home. They mate. The dudes mate with her. He just drops to the ground in pain, and that's the end of his life. What a life! I'm like, I'm glad we didn't evolve that way. Like, what a short and brief life. Even the sex life is just one time. It's over. You're a virgin. You're not a virgin. That's it. These bees investigate this phone from time to time. They're just curious. Yeah, so I took this one girl out that was 12 minutes yesterday. 12 minutes. Maybe it was the day before yesterday. And it's been fine since. I can sit here. I've had a couple that just, and then they fly away. Or I'll do my hand thing. A few seconds later, they fly away. But that one for 12 minutes at a high-pitched sound, 12 minutes straight. Yeah, I put her in a corner and she stayed there until her end time. And I haven't had one do it since. That one had those 2 bulbs on the side of their brain. Hers was extraordinarily big, and that can make them very aggressive perimeter guards. Excessive. Over the top. Right? And that's what she was. And now everything's fine. So I don't have one coming from that hive that's doing it. I don't have one coming from that hive that's doing it. I don't have one coming from that hive that's doing it. And I don't have one coming from that hive that's doing it. It was just that one bee that had her head was too big for her own good. Yeah. And so got a lot of blackberries blossoming for them to collect pollen and honey. Lots of those blooming over there. Lots of blackberries. Lots of raspberries blooming over there. Gotta go pick some of those. There's a bunch of blueberries that are coming on. And so they're all over in those raspberries. Those raspberries are flowering now. I just got in trimming them down. I do what's called raspberry topping. No, it's not cream. Take some snips and so the raspberries get a certain height, I'll top them. Then they'll get new shoots, and they'll start producing berries further down. Instead of long, stringy vines, and the berries get tiny, by topping them, they get these little shoots off of them. And if those get too long, I'll top those too. And then they'll start growing raspberries from the corners of the leaves. And the raspberries are big. They get really big. I got lots of pictures of those. But really big, like, just picture the biggest raspberry you ever seen. Yeah, about like that on average. And I used to, before I came to the conclusion of that, I used to let them go stringing. Wow, these raspberries always so tiny. I got a brother. I gave him some of those plants, because I showed him how big they are. And his get tiny, right? And there's a way to do that. You keep them topped. Right when they start to get a certain height, when they come out of the ground, top them. Let them grow their shoots. And if those shoots get too long, top those. I don't top them when they're already starting to produce the little flower sections coming out. I'll leave those. That's usually when I don't get it in time. Yeah, just keep them topped, and they'll start growing raspberries, bigger ones, right? Not to put so much energy in growing those long vines. And they go, oh, I ain't got much energy left here. Let's just produce these little berries. Right? Yeah. So, I'm just kind of blowing time here, hoping that to watch them fly in. Maybe I'll put this on pause. So, or maybe they already flew in the front because that last swarm that I caught, they were still swarming. I mean, they were still in a big ball in this peach tree here. And so I thought, I'm gonna go check that cherry tree. I went up there, and it was clear they went in there. There were so many thousands of bees that were on that one. When you see like a lot of bees, like your instincts are telling you there's thousands. Oh, she's in. Yeah, she's in there. Right? Your instincts tell you stuff. And I could tell that she was in there. And then this hive slowly dwindled down. Actually, I might have that backwards. Oh yeah, I did. Anyway, they swarmed up into the cherry tree, the last one. I'm getting these two hives mixed up, the two swarms I caught. Yeah, so they swarmed in the cherry tree and avoided this one the next day because there was a spider in it and I didn't know it. Spider got in it overnight and made a little web. And so when I came out and checked this one, on that hive, the swarm I caught, there was no bees going in that one. Not even one. None. So I noticed they swarmed into one of the cherry tree, and I came out and checked. Why did they not go in that one? They were mostly active in that one yesterday. I took it apart, and there was the spider. Yeah. So that's why it's so important to check the baited nukes in the morning, preferably before the bees are out and about. It doesn't really matter. I've noticed that even when I'm dismantling a baited nuke, if the bees are already interested in getting in it, doesn't matter where I set that nuke, they'll follow me and go into that nuke while I'm doing stuff, cleaning it, or they still have a mindset wanting that, get in there. They want to go in that one, right? And try to occupy it. Oh, there's more bees going in the other nuke that I built last month. Yeah, today may not be today. I may just be blowing time here. So I am going to go ahead and call this day 2. So they're probably not going to swarm in until tomorrow. Because I didn't see any activity till around 4 o'clock a couple days ago. Maybe if they had started like in the morning and they did that orientation all day long that day, and then all day the next day, which would have been yesterday, then today they might have swarmed in, because this would be day 3. So I'm going to call this day 2. So I'm just going to go about my day. Try to get this. It's so cool to watch. I just want to get it, you know what I mean? I want to get that on camera. Even for my posterity. Yeah, so I can watch it once in a while because it's just so cool to witness that. I have never seen that happen on any film I've ever seen. The act has already occurred, right? People are recording the after effect, right? The after event. Yeah, pretty cool. I'm not getting buzzed. Wow. 4 hives plus 1 heavily occupied. I'm not getting buzzed. Jeez, that's actually unusual. Sometimes that's kind of unusual even when I had 1 hive. Sometimes I'd get heavily buzzed. But I wouldn't I wouldn't capture that bee. I would do the hand thing. But now I'm going to take out the aggressive ones. Maybe that's why they're all so calm. Maybe that one was going to that hive and irritating, going to the other one and coming to me and irritating me and keeping all my other girls' hives up, stressed. And that's how it works too. Yeah, on the very first hive that I had, it was in the front underneath the cherry tree. And they were getting kind of healthy, girthy at that point. They were now underneath the tree. I moved it from the driveway to underneath the tree. And this one girthy looking girl comes out of the hive. And there's like about 30, 40, maybe 50 girls just roaming around doing their thing, what these do on the landing board. And she just starts attacking them one at a time, really aggressive, biting at them. And they're like, stop it, Sue, you're so aggressive. They're trying to get away from her, and sometimes they'd run into the hive just to escape her. She was so aggressive. That perimeter guard, entry guard. And then when that one run in the hive, she would attack the next one closest to her and just do the same thing. And she was just going around attacking. These girls would fly back or run back into their hive. Mommy, this keeps attacking me. It's just, who knows? They have their own world, right? Their own universe, totally separate from ours. We can only make metaphorical parallel assumptions, right? Engaging in presuppositions. I think it's funny to engage in that stuff. Make parallel perceptions of different animal behavior that parallels ours. Chimps, very similar. Our behavior is very much parallel to theirs. They're very tribal creatures, and so are humans, right? Very tribal. It's always like us against them. Republicans against Democrats, etc. This faith against that faith. My faith is right. No, yours is wrong. Mine's right. It's tribal. That's tribal mentality. I don't have that. I see all human beings as equal, regardless of what their faith is, if any. I see all human beings as equal because we are. Just as culturally we've been raised to believe that that's not the case, but it is. It's an illusion to think otherwise. We're all equal. I'm just so much more special than everybody else because I believe in this or that or this. Okay, whatever. No, you're no more special than anybody. Neither am I. But I'm most special to myself, just like you should be. Most special to yourself. And be kind and courteous and polite to yourself and share that with others. Pretty cool. Example, last night I wanted to replace some nuts because I was running low. Some other things, just a couple things. $20-something grocery bill. And this clerk, she just looked exhausted. She was overweight. Probably that always adds a little pressure on our back and our legs and makes us tired sooner when we're carrying that extra burden. I know, I used to weigh 205 pounds and I always felt exhausted. It was like carrying somebody else on my back 24/7. Because that was what was happening. And so now I weigh 145 and I maintain that. I get on the scale every single day. Every morning. I get up, go to the bathroom, get on that scale. What did I do yesterday that's going to affect my todays and my tomorrows? It's better to hit something. It's better to pull a tiny weed until it is to wait until it turns into a tree and it's well rooted. Harder to get the job done pulling that thing out, getting rid of it. So I choose to manage my weight every single morning, and then throughout the day according to what it says. So if I'm right at 145, a pound or two below or a pound or two above, well, I'll add a little something or take out a little something tonight. Not much, just a little bit of something. Well, don't have that much of that. Just a little bit less. And then I'm right back on my target. So it's easier to maintain something than it is to wait until it gets out of control. And then we go, oh, I weigh 500 pounds. How did that happen? It happened so quick. 10 years. Yeah, like those holidays. Think about the holidays. Right? I noticed that on average, after the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays and all those feasting meals, I always retain about 4 or 5 pounds going into the next holiday. And then the next holiday. And it was just gradual like that, sneaky. What's happening to my clothes? My dryer's shrinking my clothes again. It's just so gradual. You know, we just don't notice that weight gain, and that's why I get on that scale every single day without failure. I have no excuses because there isn't any that's justified. If I start coming up with just what I think is justifiable excuses to not engage in healthy routines, boom, I'm back to 205 or 230, whatever happens, right? It's better to hit stuff in the, you know, when it's easy peasy, instead of hard, difficult struggle. Life doesn't have to be a struggle if we just, rein things in if we have to at that time and then maintain it at the level that we want. Yeah, the last time I weighed 145, well, actually I got down 134 and I said, this is too light. My muscles were clicking. I lost too much muscle mass, and so I intentionally went up to 145. First I went up to 140, seeing how I felt. Still not right. I still don't feel that girthy strength. And I was working out, and so I went up to 145, and that clicking stopped, and then I started noticing I was able to build my muscle mass back and build my strength back, and yeah, I had to rebuild my muscles. Lost too much. My body ate too much of itself, including my muscles. Didn't just take away the fat; it took away my muscles, getting down to 134. So I feel like 145 is right for me. And last time I weighed that much, and I was 16. I just turned 16 years old. And so I'm maintained, and I was in wrestling and football, very competitive football wrestler. Oh yeah, fast runner. Yep. I was the second fastest runner in my school. I don't know how that white dude outran me. It wasn't much, but I was like, how is he faster than me? I do this and I do this and I go into the flumes and I walk against the strong current all the time for hours till exhaustion and do it again and do it again. Sometimes I do that all day. How come that guy's faster than me? Just maybe genetics, right? I had to work hard for mine, and maybe he didn't have to work as hard because it's in his genes to those muscle placements and everything, the way the joints are, and it was just there. Lucky him. And so, yeah. So if we can maintain our weight when we were at our full height and our full, what we felt was our full girth of strength and all that, and just maintain that throughout our life, the odds of ever getting on medication is pretty close to zero. I was on 12 medications about 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And now I'm on zero. The doctors agree, right? So, keep that weight off, exercise regularly, intensely, run hard, work out hard, and we can stay off those doggone metabolic diseasing medication things, because we won't get metabolic diseases. We'll just age gracefully, right? The senescence, it's natural for senescence to build up, to eventually get those wrinkles, that kind of hanging skin a little bit. That is actually important. If we didn't get that senescent cell build up, which is called aging, we would get cancer instead in the womb before we're even born. Senescent buildup starts in the womb. A cell starts to misbehave. It triggers, there's an internal mechanism that triggers itself to go into like a sleep mode. It doesn't, some of them die over time, but over time they build up also. So as we age from birth, those senescent cells that start in the womb, as we age, they build up more and more until we start showing those signs of that aging on our skin. And that happens internally too. But to a lesser degree, if we're eating healthy, we're exercising good, that's to a lesser degree. That's much slower than our skin. Our skin is exposed to all that pollution in the air, intense radiation from the sun, ultraviolet light, all those other. There's I forgot how many 8 different kinds of light that the sun gives off, and so we get that exposure over the decades, and so our skin is going to show Most usually, the first signs. Now, some people, their skin can look good, and they can be very old inside. Yep, just genetic thing, you know. Yeah, they're dying inside, but they look youthful on the inside, like those 10-year-old kids that die. They look like they're in their 90s, and they're 10 years old because their senescent cells are growing. Their cells are going into senescent very quickly, and so they age very quickly, and they die around 10, 13, 14 years old of old age. Literally, they're old at 14 or 10, and they die of old age complications. You know, arthritis and all kinds of different metabolic diseases that people get as we become elderly. Yeah, those folks get them, including Alzheimer's disease. 10 years old, they got it. In fact, there's babies that are born with that, and by the time they're 2 years old, they are already developing the clear symptoms of Alzheimer's disease and dementia. And then they're diagnosed with it. And they're just little babies, little children, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, and they're already dying of Alzheimer's disease. Everybody's different. Certain things trigger certain things, and certain things, and some of us are born genetically for that to be triggered, and that's the way it is. Well, they didn't go in there. Doggone it! Oh, I'm gonna stop recording here. You please subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, click the like, leave a comment. Shoot, I'll keep trying now. Yeah. All right. Do the Margarina. I still dream of Jeannie. Good day.